The second worst day of my life, I was practicing piano and I received a phone call, and it was the doctor who was taking care of my wife's pregnancy. She was pregnant for the first time and she was going for a prenatal visit. I was busy practicing piano for a performance that I had that night, and the doctor called and said, "Tom, you need to come to the office right away. The baby is dead." My wife was about 5.5 months along in her pregnancy, and the baby died in the womb. Now, I had confusion, I had fear. I remember driving to the hospital thinking, what am I going to say to my wife? What am I going to do? What does this mean? And I was praying for God's mercy. Got there, and the doctor explained what had happened. It was this random thing that happens to 1 in 20,000 pregnancies, and we were the 1 in 20,000. That next weekend, we had a small funeral service at a graveyard in Baltimore. And then my wife and I went away. We just took the weekend away and drove down to a beach in Delaware. And that Saturday afternoon, I was walking down the beach, and it was stormy out, it was raining, and I remember just crying to God, I don't understand. How come this happened to us? What's going on? You know, I believe that you're loving and you're caring, and we thought this pregnancy was a gift, and yet you took it away. That was one of the most honest prayers I think I've ever expressed when it came to my hurt and my anguish. It was a prayer you might call of lament, a prayer of anguish. Psalm 6 has this wonderful prayer, which is kind of hard to pray if you're not going through a difficult time. It says, you know, my bones are in agony, my soul is in anguish. How long, Lord, how long? Turn to me, come back to me, and deliver me or heal me because of your unfailing love. Sometimes God only meets us when we are completely honest with Him about our pain and our confusion. It's so important to remember that a prayer of pain, a prayer of confusion is not unfaithfulness, it's actually great faithfulness. Because when we're able to speak to God in the midst of our pain, that's the opportunity that God is able to come in to bring healing. Because if we're denying our pain, if we're not talking honestly about our fear, our frustration, our anguish, then God may never heal it because we're not being honest about it. That's the prayer of lament. So as I was walking down the beach that day, I was praying this thing, and my insides were dying, my outsides were just trying to figure things out, and I felt like God said this. He said the words, majesty. And that song by Jack Hayford, maybe you know it, talks about God's majesty, started blaring between my two ears. And I just started thinking, what are you talking about? Where's majesty in the midst of suffering? Where is majesty? I know people suffer all over the world, God, but this is real personal. And God just simply said, majesty. So I complained about that. I said, where is the majesty in all of this? And God said, majesty, I am with you. Trust me. So as the years have gone by, my wife and I have had a child and have adopted 3 children. And I think back to that day, and I think God saved me because God said, I am with you in your suffering. And then God blessed us in many different ways with children. Now, it took a long time. We went through other seasons of grief, but God met us. Are you being honest with God about your pain? I just invite you today to pray, if you're going through a difficult time, to pray a prayer of lament, a prayer of anguish, a prayer of honesty. Because when you're honest before God, that is when He is able to step in and give you significant healing. It may take time. It could even take years. But God's love for you is so deep and so wide that He will heal you as you are honest and authentic before Him. I invite you to pray.